I forgot to ask who's doing the intro, but I'll do it anyways.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hey, this is what happens when you're gone for like 2 weeks, honestly. Hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to a very late night, but a soothing late night of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your CMLL review show here at the BC WrestlePod conglomeration empire Twitch dumb YouTube channel-esque, anomaly that we have here on the internet. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and I am so happy to be back with this week. What is happening in the background? The ghost is happening.
That's must be.
Wrestling gods, I already said I was sorry. You already messed up NXT earlier this evening. Don't do this to me tonight. That's okay, though. But I am super happy to be back after a week off because life was just hitting everybody in different places. I am happy to be back and technically sandwiched in between these two lovely gentlemen. First and foremost, you know him, you love him. Apparently, him and El Senior Lucha don't are still kind of feuding, I guess. But El Buntador II is back in full effect. Oh, look at those pythons. Ooh, yeah.
Lucha don't. Él no quiere esto. He doesn't want that.
No, he doesn't. But low-key, it would make great content. And then, of course, rounding out our trifecta of Los Lobos here is Papa Oso himself, Will, who I'm also very happy to see because I've also missed him all last week. I missed you guys so much. It was very lonely doing things by myself last week. Hey, but you know what? That's okay. I got a lot done and I got some fun stuff in the pipeline. So it's going to be a great time. Just like this episode of CMLL this past weekend was fantastic because we are here to review the Viernes Espectacular show, which I'm going to be honest, you guys, we are in the month of October and we are getting premiere Amazona action every single Friday.
Well, that is because October is the mes de la Amazonas. Octubre is the mes de las Amazonas. A month dedicated to women wrestling? What?
That's crazy. What?
Touch my pearls.
Right. Sorcery. It's witchcraft.
It's witchcraft.
But yeah, it's been great. The Amazonas normally go get at it, but for whatever reason, this first Viernes Espectacular, they seem like they ratcheted it up to 11. So, but we'll get to that. We'll
definitely get to that, and of course, it's very cool and very smart on CMLL's part because we are building into what is inevitably going to be the climax of Octubre, which is the Mes de las Amazonas in our Women's Amazonas World Grand Prix at the end of the month. So, I believe it is October 27th.
I believe.
Let's see. Okay, Halloween's on Thursday, so it goes 30th, 29th, 28th, 27th. The 25th to the 26th, that last Friday.
You want to show what they're fighting for?
Yes. So we are fighting, or not we, because they would decimate me, but the Amazonas will be fighting for the grand prize in this Grand Prix, which is this little beauty right here.
That's right.
So the cup for the international tournament, similar to the men's, but shinier.
Yep. But this isn't the only thing that the women are fighting over this month, because they are also fighting for the new
CMLL Women's Amazonas Championship. I forgot the official title.
It's the Universal Women's Championship.
Yes, which is her.
Yeah.
So these women are about to fight. We're gonna get a new women's title on CMLL. Yep. Makes me excited.
Yep. The 2023 champion was La Catalina. And she was on this past Friday, and stuff happened. So, but let's talk about this past Friday. Let's go.
Okay, so fun enough. So we got 5 matches that we're going to discuss. So it's like a WWE pay-per-view. So it shouldn't take too long. But all of our thoughts and feelings are going to be reserved for the final match because that match was insanity. Yeah. But we kick off this week's episode. Also, shout out to CMLL for actually having graphics available the day of the show because I need the American promotions to get their ish together because I could just go to CMLL and it's right there and they post these pictures right before the show starts. I'm looking at you, AEW, and the 5 different people I have to go to get my stuff for these slideshows. But we opened up this week with a 3-on-3 match. It's for una caída. So 1 fall. And we have Angelito, Mágica, and Caligula. I got to make sure I say that right. Taking on the Pequeño Olímpico, my personal favorite dancer extraordinaire, Mercurio. Pequeño Violencia. So, listen, anytime Mercurio opens up the show, I'm like, this is going to be a great time. It's going to be fantastic. I thought this was a fun opener. I really did. Of course, these opening matches we get every week for Viernes Espectacular definitely sets the precedence of how this crowd is going to react and how it's going to carry on through the show. And as always, I thought this was a perfect one. Again, I'm biased. Mercurio's little dance is always going to get me. I think he's fantastic. I'm going to throw it to El Buntador first. El Buntador, how do we feel about this opener?
Well, to add on a little bit more, these luchadors, they are from the Pequeño Estrellas division in CMLL. This was a relevo australiano, as Mikey said, for 1 fall. Our technicals, the technical team of Angelito, Caligua, and Pequeño Magia, they did end up with the win. Match was a lot of fun. It was a good opening match. Mercurio, he's a ham. He's just such a ham whenever he gets in that ring. There was a weird bit of an ending because Pequeño Olímpico, he looked like he got hurt off of a guillotine that was done on him. They actually, and it looked like it wasn't, it was actually a real injury. The ref had to go over to him and they had to signal for the medical staff and come in. I looked online. It's hard to get the Lucha Libre news. So fans, if you know a blog or something like that that's on the pulse of Lucha, let me know. But I couldn't see anything that Pequeño Olímpico was like injured further than that than what they did and carting him out. So hopefully, we'll see him this upcoming week. But yeah, fun match, fun beginner.
Absolutely. Papa Oso, same question to you. How did we feel about this opener for this week's episode?
I liked it a lot. Again, this is these are wrestlers that I didn't know. Other than Mercurio, I knew Mercurio. I've seen him before, but I didn't know the others, which I love when I don't know them, because it's like, oh, I've never seen you wrestle before, so yay, this will be exciting. And it was, and I think I've mentioned this before in the past. These opening matches always feel like, like they're like a appetizer. They're just so delicious and so wonderful, and they're pretty for the most part, and it's that sort of gets you set up for something. Get you kind of like, okay, oh, that tasted delicious. Now let's get on to the main course and see what's going on now. So I always love watching these opening matches because it's just fun to watch what they do. And yeah, I saw that the injury, whether it was real or not, but it looked pretty real. When it happened, I was like, oh goodness, and then it was sort of like, uh-oh. So. Yeah, and it just goes, and everybody just out there, it just goes to show that, even in this sort of performance style art of wrestling, injuries can happen.
like real ones can happen. But I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I liked all 6 of these guys. And I love Mercurio though. You're right. Anytime I see him on the screen, he just cracks me up.
Yeah.
He just cracks me up. And I love when he was up when he's like, because he was on the Rudos, right? Wasn't he the leader of the Rudos? I think so.
Yep.
And they announced him. He got up there, and you could hear the crowd just going, boo. He's like, "What? Me? Are you booing me?"
He was so hurt. It was so funny.
I just laughed. I was like, "That is so funny." So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was super fun. Great opener.
It definitely was. And that momentum kept going for the rest of the night, especially in our next match. So our second match of the evening. So we have a Relapango match between Mágica Blanca and Virus. So virus for those of you who speaketh the English. And once again, my favorite thing to yell at during this time is, oh my gosh, CMLL uses a timer.
Yup.
I yell at the weirdest things, you guys. Like when you have speed matches in other companies, like how hard is it to put a timer?
Agreed.
It's not that difficult.
No.
But again, this is Mágica Blanca versus Virus. I thought this was a fantastic. This is fun. I always say this anytime we have a Relampago match. It's because I love wrestling when there's a sense of urgency to it. And these Relampago matches are definitely giving me my sense of urgency because they have a certain amount of time. One person needs to get pinned. And what I also love too, as we've seen with other matches like this, is sometimes we don't get a winner. We end in a draw because we reached the time limit. And it has happened a couple of times since we started watching, which I am so here for. But I thought this was a very fun secondary match. Again, these are 2 folks that we really haven't seen too much of. I mean, we've seen Vitas a couple of times, but he was been more so on the Saturday shows, which, I try to watch as well. And then Mágica Blanca is also kind of more relegated towards the Saturday shows. But I thought this was a fantastic match for sure. I'm going to go in reverse order this time. So, Papa Oso, I'm going to start with you. How did we feel about this week's Relampago match between Mágica Blanca and Virus?
I love these timed matches. It's 10 minutes, right? Isn't it like a 10-minute?
10 minutes.
That's what I thought. Yep. So yeah, I like these 2 again, and I'll sort of mirror what you're saying. I love the idea when there's a time limit, there's that sense of urgency. But I also think that sometimes that urgency kind of gets in the way a little bit, and I think we saw a little bit of that in this match. There was some. I felt that there were some missteps and some, they didn't catch the signals correctly, and so there was just a little bit here. It wasn't a whole lot, but it did feel kind of at times. It felt a little disjointed, and so, but I enjoyed it. And again, I don't think I've seen either of these guys wrestle before. I was trying to think if I had seen Virus, but I don't know that I have.
The last time you saw Virus, at least because, again, he's more relegated to the Saturday shows, and this is a while back because we covered this in August. Virus was a part of that New Japan CMLL crossover show in which we were yelling at because they were in a high school gym.
That's right. We were
Fantastica Mania USA was what we were covering.
That's like, are they in a high school gym? I was like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's where. Okay, that's right. I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But no, I liked both of them. I thought they did really well. I thought there was just a couple of moments where there was like, I think Virus was going in to do something and he stopped just short of it and then reset himself and then went on. There was a couple of those moments. Mágica Blanca did it a couple of times too, but it wasn't a whole lot. It wasn't super distracting. It's just I happened to catch it, and it took me out a little bit because it's when you telegraph to the audience that you've made a mistake, that it's hard to get back in. But I'm glad that they were like safe and
they didn't continue and hurt somebody themselves or somebody else. But I thought overall, I thought it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it. I thought it kept up the momentum of the first match. So I was still excited. I mean, it didn't by any means let me down. I was like, yeah, let's do it. What we got next? What's next? You know, but that's just me and this now because CMLL is apparently in my genetics now. Apparently, I don't know why, but it's what it feels like.
It's also affecting other areas of your life, which we'll get into with a certain match with certain people later. Get ready.
Yeah.
We're about to visit the water park very shortly. Now I'm gonna throw it over to El Puntador. Same question to you. How do we feel about this Relampago match between these two?
So this match Relampago, a lot of energy, a lot of fun. We have Rudo versus Rudo. Magia Blanca, though, they're different style Rudos, you know. Virus is your old school beat 'em up type Rudo. Magia Blanca is your newer high flyer type Rudo. So it was really fun to see those two styles juxtaposed against each other. Look at me using big $10 words. Bam! There were definitely missteps in this match. I believe the biggest one was at the end where Magia Blanca he got Virus up in a crucifix power bomb and brought him down, and it looked like the ref Guero Noriega, which you know the refs in CMLL, they are characters in their own. So with Guero Noriega, we know when he does the 1-2 ooh, that third slap, when he pulls it really dramatically. So Magia Blanca, he dropped Virus with that crucifix power bomb. It looked like Virus landed on his head, didn't land the way he was supposed to, might have gotten knocked out, might have like forgotten what was going on in the match. But our ref, Guero Noriega, he goes 1-2 and pulls, but Virus didn't move. And you know, Guero Noriega kind of looks over and he's like, "Oh, nope, that's it. Call the match," you know. So Magia Blanca came out with the win at the 7-minute 35-second mark of this match for Relampago. Thankfully, Virus, he walked out on his own power. They didn't have to call for medical staff or anything like that. But yeah, you know, not saying that the match looked sloppy. It still looked, you know, really tight for as many miscues as there were. But yeah, no, it kept the energy flowing. And it was a good fun match.
It definitely was. Of course, as we stated before, Magia Blanca does pick up the victory here. And then we move on to our third match of the evening, in which this was the first of 2 Amazonas matches, because this one was definitely a treat. So this was also a 2 out of 3 falls, 3-on-3 match. And this was our first Amazonas action. This was fantastic.
Before we get there, though,
yes,
we had the announcement of the Grand Prix roster.
Yes, we do. Okay, so hang on.
Which I wrote down.
Yes. Okay, you got it, because I wrote it in my notes on my computer, but go for it.
Okay, so for the international team for the Grand Prix de Amazonas, from Costa Rica, we have Samantha Black. Mm-hmm. From the United States, we have Tessa Blanchard, Willow Nightingale,
woo, and
Persephone.
Yes.
Which is odd, but she was actually born in Texas, so that's that. From Colombia, we have Red Velvet from ROH, straight from your mama's kitchen.
Yes, from ROH Women's TV champion too, might I add.
Yeah. From Chile, we have La Catalina. From the United Kingdom, we have Alex Windsor. From Vietnam, we have Viva Van. And from Japan, we have Sayaka Una. Help me out here, Mikey.
I got you. Hang on. Let me pull up my list so we can pronounce it right. But
I just can't read my writing.
All right, hang on. I got you. Anyways, so while I pull
I
this
think it's
up,
Sayaka Unagi.
it sounds right, but you know what? I don't want to make a fool of ourselves. So let's take a look at this real quick.
So I'm going to go with Sayaka Unagi. Correct me on the come around. And also from Japan, we have Sumika Unagawa. And then on Team Mexico, we have Scotty, Juvia, Kira, Sanli, Zoxis, which is odd because she's from Puerto Rico, but whatever. Reina Isis, Dark Silueta, Amapola, and Hera. And that is your Team Mexico for the Grand Prix de Amazonas. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a lot of fun at the end of the month. So, but yes, so then this leads us to the Amazonas match.
It leads us to the Amazonas match. So
yes,
you are correct in those pronunciations. So good job. I know. Let me tell you really quickly though, because I watched too much of everything out there. Of course, I'm excited for Red Velvet for Team International, and of course, Miss Willow Nightingale. I love her. But I'm just going to let these two know, be on the lookout for Alex Windsor because she's amazing. And I feel like she doesn't get talked enough about. But I'm excited for you guys to witness her because UK wrestling is fantastic. But now we get into our first Amazonas match of the evening. And this saw the team of Miss Tessa Blanchard, Juvia, and Kira taking on the team of Sanely, Hera, and Persephone. I mean, just girl can grate cheese on that stomach. Look at that.
Yes, she can.
She is literally a powerhouse, and she was not shy of throwing women across the ring this evening. No, sirree, Bob. Honestly, outside of our main event, this also made me super excited. I was like, guys, this is just a taste of what the Amazonas are going to do. And I'm excited to see what Team Mexico is about to do to Team International when you throw in other international girls in this. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be so good. This match I could not stop smiling from beginning to end because everything was great. Shout out to Sanely because I was like, I see you, girl. I became a big fan of Sanely in this match. I was like, damn, girl, you got this. But of course, good back and forth. But ultimately, it was the team of Persephone, Hera, and Sanely who surprisingly beat our team of Tessa Blanchard, Juvia, and Kira. I only say that because Miss Tessa Blanchard is kind of like a big staple right now in the Amazonas division. And of course, she is entering and leading Team International as last year's winner. But again, it's one of those beautiful things about CMLL where I get to untrain my brain a little bit. Because normally, if you are at the top of the card, you usually don't lose. But in this case, technically Tessa was part of the loss because her team lost. But I thought this was up to this point. This was my favorite. This was my match of the night until we got to the main event. But man, this was fantastic. We always say that women's wrestling in general is amazing, but the Amazonas just have a different level to them. So El Buntador, these 6 women, some of them participating in the Grand Prix coming up at the end of this month. What did you think of the match?
So first, I do want to talk about the referee for the match. So the referee for the match was La Bacarita, who was an Amazona and actually announced her retirement at the end of September from the Amazonas. However, she is now going to be a full-time ref. Her retirement match is November 3rd. So we definitely have to watch that. But it was just, it was an interesting thing because we have seen La Vacarita wrestle in the tail end of her career. So to see her now as a ref is definitely a really cool thing. The match was a great match. To add on to what you were saying, it was actually Tessa Blanchard that lost the match because Sanely got her into that like really sick looking like leg lock and then dropped.
God, that was beautiful.
Dropped back, making Tessa tap out. Let me see. Both these teams just came out like swinging hard, and it was just like, damn, okay, that's how we're gonna come out. Okay, all right. There was no like tiptoeing around it. They just like came right at each other. During that, so this was a relevo australiano, best 2 out of 3 falls. The first fall that the Technicos got, was it me? Is it me or was Tessa Blanchard like spamming the cutters?
Yes, I was about to say, homegirl. It's like it was no mercy, and someone was spamming the finisher move. Like I was like, right. What is happening? But I loved it. It was so fun.
Yeah. It was just like she was just cutters. You get a cutter. You get a cutter. You get a cutter. Woo! So, but the Technicals came out with that win. The second pinfall, the Rudos did come up with a win with the win for the second pinfall. And the Rudas mumped up the Technicas like something fierce. That double knee drive that Sanely dropped into Tessa Blanchard just looked vicious. And then in the third pinfall, it kind of like broke down into chaos. We had this really cool thing where Juvia, she tossed Hera out of the ring, and then got up on the top rope, did a flying Blanca onto Hera, and then Kira tried to jump out to do a torneo, but Hera moved out of the way, and she ended up connecting on to Juvia, and then Hera jumped up, she did a plancha, and then landing into Kira and Juvia, and then Persephone was like, I bet I'm coming to this party as well. And she did a freaking over the third rope moonsault thing, which looked just so beautiful into all of them. And then while all this was going on, that's when Sanely got Tessa Blanchard in that leg lock thing and made her tap out. So it was a great match, lots of energy, great storytelling. It was good.
Absolutely. Papa, also same question to you. This was in the middle of the card, first Amazonas match of the evening. I think I know where we're going with this, but why don't you tell me how you felt about this match?
Well, I always say it's the same thing over and over again. Anytime the women wrestle, it's like it's amazing to watch because they're so much more brutal and raw than the men are, which I think is hilarious. And they do. It is truly vicious in that ring. I would not want to be a random stranger walking through that ring in the middle of a fight because you'd get your ass handed to you. I mean, just the look and the opposing figures as they stand in that ring, it's just like I would wet myself. I would literally like, don't hurt me. Well, I mean, you can hurt me a little bit, but but yeah, it was so good. I always loved when the women wrestle. It's just, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. And I love that women's wrestling is so prominent in CMLL. You know, it's so that these women wrestlers, they're right up there with the men. I mean, it's not like, you know, oh, men's wrestling, oh, and then there's the women. No, it's like, hey, men's and women's wrestling. You know, and because some of these, and I think I've said it before in other promotions too. It's like some of these women could probably take some of these men out. I mean, honestly, it's like so this match was fantastic. I am bummed that my Persephone didn't win, but that's okay. That's all right. I will live to love her another day.
Well, Persephone did win this match. Her team did win.
Did they? Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah,
Oh no, it was
she was-
Tessa
yeah,
Blanchard.
she
That's
was-
it. That's what it
yeah.
was. Tessa Blanchard. I mean,
Tessa Blanchard.
yes, that's what I meant to say. I love Persephone. No, Persephone's my girl too. So I'm glad for her, but I was sad that Tessa didn't win because I really like her too. And I was like, and I was a little surprised that they didn't win. But I'm very happy that Persephone did because I love her.
Really quick question to the both of you? What did we think of Jubia and Tessa Blanchard's white ring gear?
I loved it. It was so
Yeah.
great. I love when people match because not a lot of tag team or champions and wrestlers do that unless you're like a true tag team. Like,
True.
and again, it's really hard because normally I don't like white ring gear because I forgot where it was, but I saw somebody's doo-doo stains in the middle of the match. I was like, somebody did not check their drawers before they wrestled. So normally I'm not a big fan of white because also too, specifically for, you know, my unmelanated wrestlers who have a tan or a spray tan, it gets all over that gear really quickly.
Yeah, it does.
But because of like the character that our CMLL Women's Amazonas Tag Team Champs are, I was like, no, this totally makes sense. This is kind of great. And you know what? It was amazing, and I loved it. Since we're speaking of ring gear, though, this picture of Persephone in this ring gear, I love so much.
me
I love me
too.
like the crimson purple. It's great.
Yep. I like her hair. I like what she's got going on with her hair. That's why I love her.
It's so good. But again, so like we said, Saintly Hera Persephone do pick up the victory here. And I'm pretty sure this is not the last we're going to see of our participants leading into the tournament or the Grand Prix at the end of this month. But we move into our semi-main event of the episode. Guys, get your sunblock, get your sun hats, because we're about to visit Wet and Wild for a certain somebody. Because in your... Yes, I can say that because it's been 2 weeks and I can't. But in our semi-main event, once again, this is 2 out of 3 falls. And this is the team. Again, this is a lot of perspiration that is about to go down. But we have the team of Templario and Hechicero and Barbaro Cavenario taking on the faction of Los Depredadores, which is comprised of Volador Jr., Magnus, and Rugido. You guys, this was fantastic. And as soon as I saw the poster the week leading into this, I'm like, oh yeah, somebody's about to have a field day here, and I'm going to start with them. Will, did you bring the sunscreen? Are we prepared? Because I am not mentioning the things that were exchanged in text messages, but
What are you talking about? I was like,
I was like, get the slip and slide out, kids, because it's about to get wet and wild. So, Papa, also, we're gonna come to you first.
well, first, this was actually my match of the night before the main event, and it only because, well, for multiple reasons, but mainly because it was so much fun. And I loved the shenanigans. This was like, normally when shenanigans happen, I'm kind of like, oh, really? Is that where we went? But I really liked this one. I liked the shenanigans in this match. And because when it happened, all I did was laugh. I laughed and I laughed and I laughed because I was like, that is freaking hilarious. And I mean, we've seen them do those shenanigans before, but for some reason, this was just like beautiful. It was like beautifully executed, and and just everyone's reactions to it were just, you got like Templario's like, oh, okay, I guess we won. He just sort of walks off, and then Hechicero is just like, yeah, it is what it is, guys. Get over it. Wham, wham. Cry to your mamas. And I just thought it was hilarious. And yes, I simp for Templario and Hechicero. They are beautiful men. And they give me a tingle. Yes, they do.
Facts.
Templario is like built like a brick shit house, and he's tatted, and he's beautiful brown, and he's a damn good performer, an amazing wrestler. He's just like all around just like baby daddy material.
Listen, we're all here at BC WrestlePod. We encourage having baby daddies along here.
Yes.
El Buntador's friend Adolfo has a baby daddy on AEW, and that is the Wolverine himself, Brian Cage.
That's right.
And of course, me being in between as one of the two resident Bs here of the LGBTQIA, I ogle everybody equally. So,
That's true.
So I have baby daddies and baby mamas.
That's fair. But I would like to have Templario's children.
We will find some. Hey, you know what? We'll call up Settle and see if there's any alchemic ritual that we can do to make that possible.
We would make beautiful babies.
Yeah, right?
So we are going to go from wet and wild to our other co-host who, is foaming at the mouth because of how amazing this match was. And we'll talk about it in a little bit too. Volador Jr. had something to say to a certain somebody at the end of this match. But El Buntador, how do we feel about the match? And then I will have you lead us into what I'm referring to. So what did you think about the match?
So the match was great. I want to first speak on whoever puts together the CMLL shows. Just they have their fingers on the pulse of like how the flow of the show should go, because to go from the Amazonas match, which was just like a slobber knocker, right? To this match, which when you look at it, you think that this is going to be a bit of a slobber knocker, but ends up being, funny shenanigans going on before getting back into, more slobber, an hour's worth of slobber knocking. It was great, The next thing I want to talk about is Perico Zacarias and Kemalito, right? First and foremost, Templario, you could see his heart break seeing Kemalito coming out with the Deploradores, because Kemalito normally comes out with Templario. But it is, we do have to say that during the second pinfall, Perico Zacarias and Kemalito both went at it. It started out outside of the ring, and then it went into the ring, and the funny thing is that all the wrestlers just stopped and let them do the thing, which was great. The shenanigans though, in this match, again, Guero Noriega, right? So we have Hechicero in the ring with Volador Jr. and Hechicero, he runs into Guero Noriega, turns and uses Guero Noriega as a shield, but then spins Guero Noriega. So while his back is to everyone, Hechicero rips off his mask, tosses it to Volador Jr., and then drops on the floor. So when the ref, Guero Noriega, turns around, it looks like Volador Jr. has taken the mask off of Hechicero, which is a big no-no. So that is how the Deploradores team ends up with the loss, is that they were disqualified because of Hechicero Hechicero shenanigans, and which it went even further because then at the end, Volador Jr. he took the mic and he called out Hechicero and he's like, let's you and me right now, let's finish this up. And Hechicero was just like, no, I win, bye. And it was great. I think we're going to be seeing. This isn't going to be the end of Volador Jr. and Hechicero going at it. I think that they're queuing up for a little bit of a rivalry between the two, which I'm here for. Also gotta give a shout out to Barbaro Cavernario. He's just so hilarious. He's so funny.
He's fantastic.
When he does that worm thing and then jumps up and does the so good.
Yeah,
he's so good. So good. But yeah, so that was how Volador Jr. lost the match on Friday night.
it was so good. Oh,
It was so good.
I was like, pulling an Eddie Guerrero never gets old to me.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So this was a fantastic semi-main event. This was a lot of fun. But let's be real. We all knew what we were here for. We get into our main event. I just want to take a moment and I want to honor all of these women because, listen, y'all put on a hell of a main event. And if this is for the championship, I can't even imagine what the Grand Prix is going to be like. Holy crap. This is just for a championship. This is not even for the Grand Prix, but this is the first match to see who would qualify to face for the newly CMLL, Amazona championship. And this was kind of a stacked field. So, in this, we had Princesa Zumiet, La Catalina, Zuxis, Amapola, Metallica, Dark Silueta. That's like my favorite name to say right now. I've been practicing this. Olympia, Maligna, India Sioux, and Nautica. I knew this was going to be a banger, gentlemen. I was not prepared for everything that my eyes were thrown, the things that were thrown at my eyes.
Yep.
And as we talk about through this, courtesy of El Buntador, who got some amazing screenshots about some of these moments, is going to be amazing. But again, this is an elimination style match where you need to pin or submit. And then the final Amazona standing moves on to face for the title. Spoiler alert. It was Miss Zuxis who ended up picking it up. But this was a fun. I'm going to throw it. So I'm going to throw it to El Buntador first as we talk, go through these pictures. But El Buntador, this was our main event. Zuxis comes out on top. But Lord have mercy, this was like what, a 35, 40 minute, like almost 50-minute spectacle?
Yeah, well, it was awesome. So, when we have these types of tournaments, we should know that it starts off with a torneo cibernetico, right? Which what that is that all 10 of these Amazonas, they start off in the ring. The first 5 that get tossed over the top rope, those go on to be Team B, and then you have Team A versus Team B, and there is, by the way that they're tossed out and who did the tossing, that's the order that they have to enter the ring. They always have to have one person in the ring at all times. So it was just like non-stop. They hit go and it was just non-stop. So the first photo that we have here is Amapola, who made Maligna submit. So Maligna was the first one to be eliminated from the tournament. Then we had India Sui. She pinned Nautica, which I think the second picture is a picture of the pin, maybe. Yep, that's the pin. So Natiko was the second one that was eliminated. The third and fourth elimination was actually done at the same time, where we had Dark Silueta pinning Amapola and Olympia pinning Metallica, which it was just a cool setup the way they did it. Then La Catalina got in there. She made Olympia submit, which was interesting because La Catalina is a little thing and Olympia is a big muscle mama. So, that was definitely cool to see La Catalina do that torture rack on Olympia to have Olympia submit. But not to be outdone, Zeuxis, she ends up pinning India Sui. Then we have Princesa Suhui. She made Dark Silueta submit with literally just like sitting on her head. It was such a simplistic submission move, but it looked so painful. It's like making a good grilled cheese sandwich. Like grilled cheese is easy to make, but it's also easy to f up. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that was that. So by this point, we have Zeuxis, Princess Suhui, and La Catalina left in this in this tournament, in this matchup. So after some shenanigans, La Catalina ends up pinning Princess Suhui with a beautiful plancha from the top rope, and this sets up Zeuxis versus La Catalina, and these two took it to each other, but in the end, as Mikey said, Zeuxis ends up pinning La Catalina. The champion, the defending champion, has fallen. So now the women's universal belt, or the Campeonato Universal, is now up for grabs. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be coming home with this belt. But like I said at the top, they just they hit go, and it was just full bore for the next 45 minutes. It was fantastic.
Absolutely. So now we're going to tag in Papa Oso to give his thoughts. Papa Oso, main event time. What did we think?
Orgasmic, I would say. It was so good. It was, again, it's great when you have like a 3-on-3 or a 2-and-2, but then you have 10. Is it 10? It's 10 of them. Yeah, 10 of these amazingly talented women just coming in and just wailing on each other, just trying to get that one spot, and I think that it actually had more urgency than our timed match, because these, man, they were in, and they were, it was nonstop, as Alberto Jr. said. It was boom, 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 boom. I was just like, good Lord, the stamina that these women have. Because they were not in that ring for very long at times. It was literally like they went in, they did a thing, then they tagged out or whatever, and then it was in and out. And I was just like, I don't see how they do it. I literally was like, how do they have the energy? My God. And I thought it was funny at the very beginning how they all teamed up. They all ganged up on La Catalina. I was like, oh, okay. Apparently we don't like her. And then it was going, and then it was between her, La Catalina was at the end, and then, of course, Zeuxis, talk about a powerhouse. That woman scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the F-bomb right now because we're deep enough in. She bullies the fuck out of people, and it's fantastic to watch.
Man.
Holy shit.
I'm like, sit on me. What? No.
I know,
Like,
right? I mean, it's like, I mean, it is
I'll
like,
give you my lunch money.
yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, she is frightening in a good way. Everybody. I mean, she's doing her thing, and I was just like, wow. I mean, just watching her in the ring, she is just. I mean, out of all of them, my eyes were on her every time she was in the ring. I was just like, good Lord, that woman is powerful. And I mean, she holds herself so well. I mean, she's always sort of almost feels taller than life, when she's in the ring. And she's just, God bless America. She is just built. And then she can wrestle. That's what's so great about it. She can actually do the do. And so I was all over this match. This match was so good. And it's like, I really want all of them to go, but I know they can't. It's like, I really don't want anyone in. Can we give them all trophies? Can we just do that?
I know. They're all so fantastic. But what does make me excited is what El Buntador said, is that because La Catalina falls in this match, she's no longer our champion. So we are guaranteed a new champion when we get to the finals in a couple of weeks. But that does bring us to the end of this week's episode. But I don't want to end quite yet, because what I want to start doing is not just because it's Amazona month here for CMLL, but I think it would be fun if you thought this episode was interesting and you want to be like, what's coming down the pipeline? Well, let me give you a preview of what next week's or this Friday's Viernes Espectacular is going to contain. So once again, shout out to CMLL for actually giving us like the matches almost a week in advance.
Yep.
That's fantastic. So kicking us off on Viernes Espectacular this week, our opening match is going to be a 3-on-3. So it's going to feature El Hijo del Bandera, Volcano, and El Aglas, taking on one half of our MLW Tag Team Champs, Cozy Max. So we have Okumura teaming up with Crixus and Hijo de Stuka Jr. So that's going to be fun. Then our second match is going to be another 3-on-3. Dark Magic, Espanto Jr. and Raider taking on Zantokin Jr., my personal favorite pirate of CMLL, teaming up with Difunto and Barbosa. Then in a special mano a mano match, we have Volador Jr. versus Hechicero. So we are getting that match next week. I love that Will turned in as soon as I mentioned that.
Friday.
This Friday, that's the third match. Then in your semi-main event, we have the second of the Eliminator matches for the Amazona Universal Championship. And this field has Tessa Blanchard, Juvia, Sanely, Reina Isis, Skadi, Kira, Tabitha, Valkyria, Era, and Persephone. This is about to be a stacked eliminator match.
That's gonna be
wow. But wait, this is the semi-main event. What is the main event, you might be asking? Listen, as somebody who watches all the wrestling, and to quote her famous line in a special mano-a-mano match, AEW versus CMLL, we have chin up, tits out, and beware of the shoe. Miss Timeless Toni Storm taking on the Timeless One, taking on the former Universal Amazona champion in La Catalina. This match is about to fucking slap, you guys. I am so stoked. The promos that Timeless Toni Storm has been doing leading into this have been so amazing.
So good.
And La Catalina is about to bring it to Toni. And I'm excited because Toni, I feel like, is the closest women's wrestler in AEW that can match the energy of Amazona, given her Japanese stardom wrestling training. But by the way, also look at the poster, because the Timeless Toni Storm's like graphic for the poster is just
it's so good. So good.
She needs this money
So
because
good.
her book tour did not go well, you guys.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
good.
But boys, I'm sad that we have to end tonight, but we do need to go for the evening. But fear not, because we will be back next Wednesday at this same time to review this Friday's Viernes Espectacular, which is awesome. Which is going to be a lot of fun. And we are inching ever so closer to the Amazonas Grand Prix at the end of the month. I'm
Mhm.
so excited. We are 3 weeks away from it. It's going to be fantastic. But from myself, El Buntador, and Papo Oso, and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay biconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you next week for another exciting episode of Los Lobos de la Lucha. But until then, sayonara, adios, and Billy Stark's outro. Bleh. See you later.